Kyle, I don't know if you could you hear the edited intro song this week?
I could. Is that for me?
Well, see, I originally thought, this would be for Kyle, return of the Mac. He's back from fighting COVID, but then Tom Brady made it back to the Super Bowl and decided that it was. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, it's for you, man. How are you?
I'm doing a lot better than I was this time a week ago. I can tell you that.
Good. I'm glad. So I am Michael Draper. He's Kyle Castles. I believe we are actually doing something here on Dad's Watching Sports. It is Sunday, January 24th, Kyle, episode 49. I'm glad you're back. If you're listening to us on our podcast, thank you so much for downloading each and every week. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give us a rating and review. We love to get 5-star ratings. Even if you want to give us a 4-star, we won't hold it against you too much, but go ahead and give us a rating. Kyle will. I won't. Give us a rating. Give us a review. We want to know what you like about the show. Any cool stuff that maybe you have thought of for the show. We would greatly appreciate that. All right, Kyle. So before we get into a recap, since you were out last week, how are you feeling? How was it? What's the latest on the COVID Castles story?
So I'm past it. I think I still have a bit of a cough. Still get out of breath pretty quickly. Still get pretty fatigued. Or still am pretty fatigued, but I think I'm finally out of the woods. So I think I'm past it. Now, my wife, on the other hand, not so much. She's still struggling. So it's my turn now to take care of everything while she lays around and tries to get better.
Well, there you go. Well, man, I'm glad you're feeling better. Please send our best to Lauren, and hopefully she will feel better over the next couple of days. I know you checked out the show last week because you interacted with us for a majority of the show throughout, and thanks for doing that, even though you weren't feeling well. So we had Mrs. Draper on. We had Jeff Hurst on from Jeff's podcast. And then we had Chris LeBron from Off the Ball podcast and Off the Ball Network. Some really great chatting going on last week on the show. We missed you, but it was a great show.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't miss me that much. Like, you had some great guests. I appreciate Mrs. Draper letting me have my spot back. I know that she's probably better at this than I am, but I appreciate her letting me have my spot back. Jeff was great. Chris is fantastic. So, it was a great show last week.
It definitely was, and it will be a great show again this week as well. So in our house, we talked about Suzanne and I talked about at the top of the show last week. It was a busy time. She was going through her event, the biggest event that she has for the year. I was taking care of our daughter Emma, or was about to, because she was out. One of her classmates, there was a positive test. We're not sure who or whatever, but she had to be out the week. So man, it was a busy week for us. I got to give a shout out to Suzanne. She did a great job with her event. She got a lot of shout outs from a lot of higher ups within their company, and Emma and Dad hung out all week, man. But it was, she made it. She didn't exactly make it the easiest on me, but we survived. And I know a thing or two about having some kids at home and having to hold down the fort.
Yeah, it's insane what all goes down when you're trying to. Yeah, I'm assuming you were still trying to work a little bit as well while taking care of him. Yeah. So I've been trying to work with COVID, trying to work. It's insane the things that we try to do with kids, but we can find a way to make them work.
We have to, man. We have to. And, it was so funny. So our daughter, Emma, she's 4, for those of you that are listening that don't really haven't heard that or don't know the story. And so she, we're very blessed. And our kids have toys upon toys upon toys upon toys upon toys. And Emma has no interest in playing with said toys during her quarantine week. And so when Dad's trying to work and I'm like, hey, sweetie, just – sit down and play with your toys or do your gymnastics or, here's some stuff that you can do. She wants no part of it. And what she wants to do, Kyle, is she wants to work. And she wants to be on work Zoom calls like mommy and daddy are all week. So dad did, I feel like I deserve a little pat on the back for this. Dad did a little work last week. I set up an email account for Emma. I set up a Zoom account for Emma. And so on Friday, was it Friday? Yeah, Friday, we had a Zoom meeting between myself, Suzanne, Emma, brother-in-law and his wife, my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law, and we all had a little Zoom meeting. So she got to take notes for her meeting and talked about what was going on with her work. It was actually really cute. But it's like, man, why aren't you like most 4-year-olds and just want to play with toys? Why do you want to have a Zoom call?
I was going to say it sounds like you needed to find a grandparent that would Zoom with her when you needed to, but sounds like you got it figured out.
We got the whole family, man. Although what we call the bop or the father-in-law, he got called out because he didn't make the meeting, meeting over on Friday. Yeah, didn't RSVP, didn't make it. Turns out he actually had work to do, and so wasn't able to make it. But
exactly,
yeah, man,
his work was to be on the Zoom call.
Exactly, that's right. The CEO called it, and he was a no show, no call, no show. But yeah, it was just so interesting to see. Like, my wife and I kind of pride ourselves on, we're very much kind of doers and task oriented, and like we don't just like to just sit around and kind of do nothing, especially me. And it's really starting to see that play out in our children, especially her, where she doesn't like to just sit around and play with toys. There's got to be an objective. There's got to be a project getting done. And when you're trying to work, man, it's tough.
Yeah. Well, that's still pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. She seemed to enjoy it. All right, Kyle. So let's see. We've got Kyle George says, "What do you mean most 4-year-olds? My 3-year-old prefers the boxes the toys came in." Yeah, Kyle. I agree with that. Our 1-year-olds or our 2-year-olds a little bit more like that. He's much more like, I don't really care about the actual toys. I just want to play with this random thing on the floor. But yeah, that's definitely something. By the way, Kyle, I'm sure you're glad to see that the Packers got beat tonight in their game.
I'm not a Brady fan, so.
Well, I was talking about Kyle George, not Kyle Castles, but yeah, we'll get to you in just a second about that. Speaking of your team, Kyle, Drew Brees, legendary quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, looks like probably going to be hanging it up. Had a sweet moment there with Brady after the game, and we'll talk about that in a second. But as a lifelong Saints fan, your quarterback looks like he's going to hang it up after just a injury-plagued season. I'm gonna turn it over to you, my friend, and let you give your ode to number 9.
Yeah, look, Drew, speaking for all of Who Dat Nation, thank you. Obviously, thank you for the on-field stuff. Thank you for breaking all the records there in New Orleans. Thank you for the World Championship, right? Thank you for the Super Bowl. But thank you for what you did for the city of New Orleans, coming in right after Katrina and playing that first season and wherever we could find a spot and really bringing that city together. It was magical what you were able to do.
Just magical.
Now, if only you had a little bit more of that magic and won another Super Bowl or two, that would have been great. But thank you, Drew Brees. Best Saint ever.
Ooh, best Saint ever. Well, there's not a whole lot of great players to pick from there. So yeah, best Saint ever might be a good call.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
There you go. Well, Kyle, there was a cool moment after the game. No offense to the Saints, man. I feel like we were just pretty hard.
No, but I mean, look, we were the Yanks for a long time.
It's the reality. I understand. There was a pretty cool moment after the game. People call it on social media, and they kind of call it fire of Brady and Brees. You see these guys, they've been competitors for such a long time. They're two of the best at their craft. But then at the end of the day, man, they're just regular guys, and in this case, they're just dads. And Brees had his family out on the field, and Brady comes out and talks to him, gives him a hug, throws football with Brees' sons. Just kind of a cool moment to see. Again, these are just two guys that are dads that are playing a game that they love, and they're really not a whole lot different than you and I, except for they get paid very handsomely to do so.
Yeah, they're different from us. I mean, don't think they're not different.
Come on, man. Don't sell yourself short there, Kyle.
Hey, they're different
Okay,
enough.
I'll give them this. They're athletically. No, go ahead.
They're different enough that they can make a whole lot more money than me and you can.
That's a true statement, but athletically, maybe they're a little bit more gifted. But in terms of looks, man, I think we're very comparable.
I'll put myself in the camp with Drew Brees, but Tom Brady, come on, man, you know better. Maybe you think you're that good looking.
Well, my wife thinks so. That's all that matters. At least that's what she
But no,
me.
hey, look, that was awesome watching them interact. That was, a guest we had on I don't even know how far back, Kevin Dyson. I worked with him a while, and one of the conversations we had one time was something he had to learn when he got to the NFL about the game being a business. When you play in high school, if you win and you're on this huge high, if you lose, it eats at you for a week. College is very similar. But then when you get to the pros, he talked about how he would be playing with the Titans his rookie year and they would lose a game and on the ride back or the flight back or whatever it is, they were coming back. Guys would just be having a good time. Guys would be having a good time in the locker room after the game. Playing cards or whatever, and he had a hard time understanding that while they play to win, it's not as life or death as it was in high school and college, and that's something that you got to see between two of the most competitive guys there in the NFL right now, and Drew and Tom, and they can go out and they can compete, and one's going to win and one's not. And, I hate to say it, but Brady beat him, and all that. And then they, after the game, it's over and they are just human beings. And so to me, that's the stuff that's really interesting to me.
There we go, Kyle. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, there we go. Okay, sorry I'm not sure how I got muted. It's 2021, but it still feels like 2020. Who knows? All right. So what I was saying, Kyle, is it's so interesting to see, when stuff like that happens, and you've got fan bases of teams that are so live and die by their team, and they, I think of, I'm a Kentucky fan, and you think of Kentucky basketball, and the fans are live and die. But then you also think about like you were saying, these are just, in this case, grown men that have families and doing all this other stuff. And sometimes people get bent out of shape when they say, well, you just competed against that guy. How are you able to go out and, give him a hug and, give him a high five or whatever? And you got to just remember, these are just people. They're playing a game, and they want to win at every cost, kind of like you were talking about what Dyson said. But at the end of the day, it's just a game, and we're just guys out on the field competing. Ill towards this person more often than not. So really interesting dynamic for sure.
Yeah. I agree. And it's something that takes time to learn, and fans don't get it because fans live and die by their team.
Yep. All right, we're going to go to a commercial break, and I'm going to hope that I can get my situation in order here and be able to figure out what's going on with my computer. But we'll go to a break. Maybe we'll come back. Maybe we won't. Who knows? This is Dad's Watching Sports. We'll be right back. Big news in the Dad's Watching Sports podcasting world. You've heard us mention it on the show already. We are now part of the Off the Ball Podcast Network. We're super excited to be joining the team of great shows, hopefully adding a little dad flavor to the mix. You can check out Off the Ball Podcast and Off the Ball Network on all your social media sites. Just search Off the Ball Network. And while you're there, give them a like and a follow. You won't regret it. Welcome back. It's Dad's Watching Sports. Michael Draper, Kyle Castles. And Kyle, I think we have put our technical difficulties, at least for the time being, to the side. I saw the end of the commercial. I heard everything. I see you crossing your fingers, so we're good. You can hear me. Technology, at least for the moment, is working. There you go.
We'll see.
We'll see. I don't have, that's just kind of what happens nowadays, but who knows? We'll figure it out. All right, we were talking some NFL. Let's continue to do so, Kyle. I'll be honest, I actually turned off the game just because I was afraid that was stealing my streaming power. So we'll figure out what's going on in the second game. But let's go to the first game that finished today. We already mentioned it already. Brady's back in the Super Bowl. Tampa Bay ended up kind of holding off Green Bay. They got to a big lead. Green Bay Storm's back. Green Bay was maybe some questionable calls towards the end, and Tampa Bay holds on for victory. What was your take on that game?
Yeah, I think the Buccaneers were the best team, but Brady did everything he could to let the Packers back in it, throw in those 3 picks. But that Buccaneers defense, man, like they shut down the Packers offense every time after they got within, I think, 5 because they went for 2 and missed it, or 4 and went for 2. I forget, whatever it was, 5 and went for 2 and didn't get it. There was some questionable calls. You're right. I think Aaron Rodgers, if he had that third down, 3rd and goal late in the game to do over again, he'd go ahead and just take off where he had a chance to do so. Instead, he tried to fit it into a completely covered Devontae Adams, which probably wasn't the smart thing to do. But if that Buccaneers defense plays the way they did on I guess not next Sunday, but the Sunday after in the Super Bowl, this Chiefs team's going to have a difficult time with them. They can really put pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, that they can, which is ironic. Everybody's going to be talking about Brady tonight, today, the next day, the next week. But yeah, it's really that Tampa Bay defense that, like you said, held the Packers in check. And I did pull up the score. It looks like the Chiefs are well on their way to making it to a second consecutive Super Bowl. So we won't make a pick, and we won't really go in depth about that tonight. But just initial thoughts of Chiefs versus Bucks. The CBS executives are just giddy with Mahomes versus Brady. So what's your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be, and we all know there's going to be some kind of storyline that they push, and this is the storyline they're going to push is very simple. Brady is the quarterback of his generation. Pop, I know you're watching or listening, and you're going to tell me I'm wrong. It's Peyton, but Pop, he's going to the Super Bowl for the 10th time. He's won 6 of them.
Yep.
Brady is the quarterback of his generation, and quite frankly, the quarterback, of any generation right now. But there's a guy coming up that's already got him a Super Bowl. That's got a shot at being the youngest to ever have 2. And Patrick Mahomes. And so it's the storyline is going to be something about changing of the guard. Is this where we see the passing of the torch, right? Is this Hogan Andre at WrestleMania 3? You know what I mean?
Ooh, I like that. Yes, I like that. I like the comparison.
That's, I don't really know if I love the comparison, but whatever. Is this Hogan Warrior, right? At WrestleMania, what was that, 6 maybe? There in Toronto. Is this Hogan Warrior? Is he going to drop the belt to the new guy, and can he take the ball and run with it? Well, we know he can, but this is where we're at.
Yeah, and the storylines are going to be aplenty. Brady and his team is going for seventh Super Bowl title. The Bucks, having not at all the past decade, and then here they are back. Arians, the coach, he's going to give a good soundbite or 2 or 5 or 10 over the course of the next 2 weeks.
You think Andy Reid won't have some?
Well, Andy Reid will for sure, without a doubt. But yeah, it's going to be cool to see. We'll have almost 2 full weeks to talk about it, and then we'll be able to see what happens in Super Bowl 55. One thing we haven't mentioned yet: Tampa Bay hosting the Super Bowl this year, first time ever. The Super Bowl will be in a city where the team playing is there, so that's just another added dynamic. Can Tampa Bay win at home and win the Super Bowl?
That'll be real interesting. I don't know if there's going to be any sort of home field advantage. They've come out and said 22,500 or 25,000, something like that, right?
Yeah,
and like 7,500 of them are going to be not first responders. What do you call them? Medical personnel that have been vaccinated.
Essential workers.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's going to be a home field advantage outside of just the Buccaneers are going to be able to treat it like a home game, which is going to be interesting.
Yeah, for sure will. All right, let's move forward. We talked about your boy Drew Brees retiring. Another big name, quarterback-wise, announced his retirement, and that is Philip Rivers, retired after one season with the Colts, spent a lot of time with San Diego. I believe it was the 03-04 draft where he was drafted by the Chargers, and the whole Eli Manning situation there, ending him up in New York. So a lot of people have already debated this, but I figured we'd get our takes on Philip Rivers in the Hall of Fame. I'll go first, Kyle, and my answer is no. And the reason that I have him no is show me what Philip Rivers has won. Yes, statistically, he's up there with some of the greats of the game, and he's made a statistic. But what has he won? He hasn't won anything other than maybe a couple of division titles, and that's what I chalk it up to. The only thing that he's the Hall of Famer at is producing children, and that's all that it is. And so Philip Rivers not in my Hall of Fame, although as a dad, I tip my hat to him and say you're a Hall of Fame dad, but not a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Well, this is where you're wrong. He'll get in. He's 5th all-time at the point of retiring. 5th all-time in, if I remember right, yards, touchdowns, and maybe even completions.
Okay. How many AFC championships did that win him?
Here's the thing. Winning in a football game has very little to do with one person.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if you're a Hall of Famer, meaning you are the best of the best in the most elite sport that you can play, you have to win.
Not necessarily. Not in football. This isn't bad. Look, I know you're a basketball guy where one person can dominate. You don't understand football.
So you're
I understand you don't get it. But
you're saying the team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who won 5 games last year,
they were 7-9. I'd like you to get it right.
7-9. Who cares? They still had a losing record. They hadn't been in the playoffs in probably a decade. They get the greatest player of all time on their team, one player, and all of a sudden here they are going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you have a team that has a ton of talent. You're talking about the Goodwin and Evans and Gronk and Brate and Fournette and Ronald Jones and a really good offensive line. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Is Jameis Winston Tom Brady? No. So did Jameis Winston have all of those tools to work with? No, they got a few of those just to work with Brady. But even still, Jameis had enough weapons there, but Jameis isn't Tom, right? So when you put a good quarterback on a good team, good things happen. All right. When you take a bad quarterback and put them on a good team, they're a middle of the pack team. And that's what the Buccaneers were a middle of the pack team with Jameis Winston because they're a good team with a bad quarterback.
That still doesn't prove to me that Mr. Rivers
what it proves is that football is a team game.
I get that. I completely get that.
And so if you don't have the team, you're not going to win regardless of how good you are.
Well, Kyle, all I can say is I'm so glad to have you back, but you're still wrong.
I'm not wrong.
TJ Burns, good to hear from you. TJ says, welcome back, Castles. Can't stay very long, family time, but hope you guys have a great show. TJ, we hope you're doing well as well, my friend. We're glad to have you back on board, checking out the show. All right, Kyle. So we both agree that Philip Rivers is not a Hall of Famer. I'm glad that happened.
You're wrong.
You take the quarterbacks of the 2000s/2010s. Where do you feel like he falls in that? Do you have like a top 10 list, or would he fall in that top 10 since he's a Hall of Famer? Surely he's got to.
Yeah, he's in there. So I got. I'll give you my 10. I'll start at 10. And at number 10, and I understand he hadn't been doing it long, but I'm telling you, there's just something about this kid. Patrick Mahomes is number 10 for me. That sucker is fantastic. Now I say, yeah, he was playing in the 2010s. At number 9, I got Russell Wilson. At number 8, I got Phillip Rivers. There he is. Number 8. Now that's not the number 8 quarterback ever. That's number 8 in just the first 2 decades of the 2000s. At 7, I got Donovan McNabb. Pretty good. Number 6, I got Eli Manning. He's got 2 Super Bowls, so I can't not put him in. Is it 5? Is that where I'm at? Yeah, number 5, I got Ben Roethlisberger. Number 4, I got Steve McNair. That's one you can't forget about, and he was really good. At 3, I got Drew Brees. 2, Peyton. 1, Tom.
Okay. Mine's got some similarities to yours. Shocker of the year, I do not have Philip Rivers and his 12 children in my top 10 for this. I've got number 10. I've got the Air McNair. He took his team to a Super Bowl. He was an MVP or co-MVP if you want to get specific. So he's definitely better. I've got your boy Eli at number 9. Again, 2 Super Bowls. I've got McNabb at 8. Big Ben at 7. Number 6 is going to be a little bit of a shocker to you, but I've got Kurt Warner at number 6. Number 5, I've got your boy Breeze. Number 4, I've got Aaron Rodgers. Number 3, Brett Favre. Number 2, Peyton Manning. And, of course, number 1 is the greatest of all time, Eugene Brady.
I should have put Aaron Rodgers on there. I don't know why he's not on there. Favre, I just didn't think played enough to make it. Favre is a top 5 quarterback ever. But I think he's more of a 90s quarterback than a 2000s quarterback. But I left Rodgers off, just an oversight. Probably take Mahomes off.
TJ says no Romo with a smiley face. No, yeah, definitely.
No.
Definitely not any Romo. And Kyle Wrigley says, hi, Daddy, coming from your wife. So listening in, Wrigley, we appreciate you checking us out. Tell your dad that he's wrong about Philip Rivers the next time you talk to him.
Hey, little bear. Hey, little bear.
There you go. All right, let's stick one last thing in the NFL, and then we'll move forward, Kyle. So Urban Meyer, we haven't seen him in a while, but he is taking his talents back to the state of Florida, but this time it's the NFL going to Jacksonville. Looks like more than likely he'll get Mr. Lawrence to be, having the keys to the kingdom down there with the Jaguars. First off, do you think with Urban, do they draft Trevor Lawrence, even though, Urban's got those ties to Ohio State, Justin Fields out there, who knows what happens there? And then secondly, overall, when we're talking about the Urban Meyer experiment in Jacksonville, does he have success?
You want to define success? Because the way you define things is just so weird, considering you won't put Phillip Rivers in the Hall of Fame.
Does he leave on his own accord, having made the playoffs at least a handful of times, or does he get fired?
He leaves on his own accord because he has everywhere he's been. I think he has success. I think I've seen some of the hires he's made. It looks like he's putting together a pretty good staff with some experience, some pro coaching and some head coach experience that I think he can rely on as he figures everything out. So yeah, I think he can have success. Do they draft Trevor Lawrence? Absolutely. I read an article today where he said something about, I've been a fan of Trevor Lawrence since he became Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, that name started popping up when that kid was a sophomore in high school. So apparently he's been watching him since then. You don't not draft Trevor Lawrence. I understand I don't know if you saw this. Brett Favre came out in the last couple of days maybe and said that Jacksonville need to go out and draft Devontae Smith because he was a better prospect than Trevor Lawrence. And no, you don't skip Trevor Lawrence this time.
I usually agree with Brett. I don't know that I can agree with him on that. And that's if Urban Meyer has known him since he was Trevor Lawrence, but literally the moment he was born, Urban Meyer's like there in the hospital, like, hey, you're going to come play for me in 20 years for the Jaguars. That's pretty good. TJ also says I'm an Urban Meyer fan. It's interesting. I didn't think you would be as an Aggie, TJ, but he will not make it past 5 years in the NFL. I tend to agree with that. I don't think it's going to go well. I mean, if you look at traditionally the college coaches that make the jump, very seldomly does this work. I think Jimmy Johnson might be the best example of somebody that's had, maybe Pete Carroll as another that's had success. But, I mean, you look at the handfuls that haven't, and you've got great coach. I mean, I know that it depends on the situation that they walk into, but when you got Saban, Spurrier, who's been other. I mean, there's just a handful of others that it has not worked for. I don't think it works for Meyer. I think he gets fired, or maybe he just leaves. But I don't think it works.
Yeah, I could see it not working just because it's a college coach trying to come in, and not just a college coach, but a college coach that's been out of coaching for 4 years, something like that.
Yep.
So we'll see.
There you go. So, Kyle, when I say the words monkey knife fight, how excited do you get?
I mean, that's pretty exciting. Are we putting a knife in some monkey's hands? And I mean, that could be the end of the show right there.
It could be, but thank goodness it's not. No, it's not what you're thinking it is. Monkey Knife Fight is a daily fantasy sports gaming website for the casual sports fan. It's simple, it's fun, it's easy to play. Users determine which superstars are competing in the day's professional sporting events. We'll record more or less than the contest line provided, Kyle. MKF's daily fantasy prop games play similar to the salary cap based games, but without the algorithms, Kyle. I'm not a math guy. I don't do the numbers. So they take it away. They do away with the algorithms, away with the lineups, and most importantly, Kyle, away with the sharks. Not the land sharks, but the sharks.
They can do away with the land sharks too.
Yeah, everybody can do away with those. There are several contests to choose from, Kyle, none of which require hours of research. We don't like researching around here. No show prep required or research required for this. For competing sites, start with a simple 2 for 2 or go for the highest payouts by selecting an 8 for 8 more or less contest. Get started right now with 100% instant match, Kyle. Bonus up to $50. All you got to do is use the promo code off the ball. That is monkey knife fight. Very exciting.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Very tough transition here, Kyle, but we're going to do it anyways. We are coming up on the 1 year anniversary of the tragedy that happened out in California involving Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and the rest of those that are on that. That was our first show ever with Dad's Watching Sports when we discussed that last year. I'll get into a little bit more behind that here in just a second, but just any quick thoughts on coming up 1 year anniversary, I believe on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's still tough to think about it. I was watching Sports Center this morning, and I think it was AD was talking about how they felt Kobe's presence in the bubble. I say last year. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago because it wasn't, but last year, and really felt like he was there to help them, win the title that they won and stuff. So, it still hits them. I think it still hits everybody. It was just a terrible thing.
It was. Yeah, I mean, I vividly remember. It's kind of one of those things, you remember where you were and what you were doing when it happened. And it was, I believe it was a Sunday. And, obviously we were sitting around with our family, and I remember being in my son's room, which is just right over here. and see my phone, and it said reports are, Kobe Bryant's passed away in a helicopter accident. And it was just kind of one of those surreal moments, like, wait, what? And just the whole day was just so surreal, and it was like you're in a movie, and the crazy thing is, it became, all the information started kind of coming out, and the information about his daughter was involved as well, and then we really started getting a glimpse of, over the next few days, about his life as a dad, and I'll be honest, when I started hearing that and just thinking about my life as a dad, that is one of the reasons that this show came about, is thinking about the experiences we have as a dad, how much is on our shoulders as a dad to teach our children and to be there for them and all this and all that. And so it's crazy. Here we are a year later, but it's just a heartbreaking event for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you said it best.
All right, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we got some quick hitters and much, much more. We'll be right back on Dad's Watching Sports. Y'all stay with us. Coming up next week on Dad's Watching Sports, it's our 50th episode. We'll be talking Super Bowl preview, and Kyle and Michael will highlight some of the best moments in Dad's Watching Sports history. Plus, we may have a few special guests along the way to celebrate. All that and much more next week on episode 50 of Dad's Watching Sports. Y'all check it out. We're back here on Dad's Watching Sports. Michael Draper, Kyle Castles. Kyle, it is crazy. Next week is episode 50. We launched this show in February. Sports shut down like March 19th, and then we went until August, September without anything. That's right. And then here we are back again, and it's episode 50. I didn't know if we'd ever get here, but it's exciting.
Yeah, it's crazy the way we're still poking along. Hopefully people are enjoying it. I guess they are.
Yeah, I hope they are. And if you're not, let us know. That would be a great thing to include in the rating or the review section of our Apple podcast. Obviously, always remember you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well for not only the latest episodes, but any kind of fun, cool dad stuff that we've got going on. All right, Kyle, we had the inauguration of our 46th president this past week. We're not going to get into any of that, but I did see this topic. I believe it was actually Peter Burns of the SEC Network / ESPN, who's been a guest on this show, tweeted this out. And Peter, I'm sorry, but I'm stealing your idea. But his tweet was, what's the first sports-related executive order you would sign if you became president? We've seen it with Biden just really early on. We saw it with Trump and Obama and here and there. Executive orders, Kyle. So if you had to pick, we'll just give you one, or if you've got a couple, that's perfectly fine. But what's the first sports-related executive order you would sign if you became President Kyle Castles?
First executive order, sports-related executive order I would sign is I don't know if it would be forced. I guess I could force the NCAA to allow athletes to make money off of their likeness, allow them to be paid by their schools a portion of the money that it comes in from their sport. Now that is going to piss off, Title IX, and I would have to find some way around that, because obviously football and men's basketball would allow those players to get paid a lot more than, say, women's softball, but I don't really care.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of us would have that one. I kind of figured that's what you were going to say. So I tried to think of something else that I would do. And if I think across the sports world, things that just drive me absolutely crazy, I've got two of these. And so I would sign an executive order to either change or not necessarily eliminate this, but to definitely have some drastic changes. We'd have a revamping and overhaul of these. They're both in the college athletics world. So in college football, we got to change the targeting rule. I understand we're all for safety, and we're all trying to make sure the players are hitting with their heads up and not leading with their head and all this and all that. But we've got to get rid of kicking a player out of the game because of that. A lot of the times it's just a bam moment. They don't do it intentionally. I know you're trying to prove a point, but we've got to change the targeting rule, and that would be my first executive order, followed up by my second executive order, which would be to stop rewarding college basketball players for flopping and calling a charge, because that's the thing that drives me the craziest. Anytime someone comes in the lane and someone just falls over, they automatically call a charge, whether it's even close to being one or not. So the targeting call and college basketball charges / flopping, those are my 2 executive orders. We need to sign them right now. Come on, Biden. I know you're listening. You're hearing us, talk about dad stuff, sports stuff. Go ahead and sign those off as well.
I got one more. And okay. I don't know why this bugs me, but you started talking about things bugging you. Football games, televised football games, would not be allowed to go to commercial after a score, then come back for the kickoff, and then go back to commercial.
Yes, absolutely.
Pick one of the times to go to a commercial and be done.
Yep. And college football games are similar to that too. Like if somebody calls a timeout, they go to commercial, then they come back, and then there's a dead ball, and it's like the under 8-minute timeout. Then they go right back to another timeout. It's like we just had a 2-minute commercial. Come on.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm glad we're on the same page with the commercials.
Yes, without a doubt. All right, so let's get into our next topic, Kyle, and that is going to be one thing I wanted to mention is, we had talked 2 weeks ago about our way too early top 25. We were going to release that last week. You were out, so we chose not to. And then we had a conversation with Mr. Cole Kublik of the SEC Network. Cole is going to be joining us on Sunday, February 21st. So we're going to wait and hit pause button. Our way too early top 25 is going to be just a little delayed, but we're for good reason. So February 21st, let's do top 25 with Cole Kublik. I'm excited about it. How about yourself?
Sounds good to me. It'll be cool to meet him.
It will be. All right, let's get into some quick hitters, Kyle. We've talked a little college football. There is a dumpster fire once again in Knoxville. I love every single second of it. The Vols did end up hiring an AD, and we'll get to that in a second, but they fired Jeremy Pruitt for what they say is cause. Their athletic director, or whatever you want to call him, Philip Fulmer, conveniently decided it was time for him to step away. So now they have White from UCF has stepped in as athletic director. He's a good AD. I think they made a good hire there. But, man, Vol is trying to reclaim that 98 glory. What do you think is going on with them?
Makes me wonder. So, did you hear what they called him doing?
Yeah, you talking about I'm loving it?
What? Yeah, putting cash in McDonald's sacks. So, okay, problem, right? I think the Danny White hire is a good hire. I mean, he was at Buffalo when they brought in Leopold. He was the one that brought in Scott Frost down there at Central Florida. So I think he's a good hire. And I, people are sick. I don't go anywhere or do anything. I've been doing a lot of reading articles and stuff. And the 3 names I've heard that he's vetted are a pretty good set of names for the head coaching spot. So I think this time Tennessee might get it all figured out. But, at this point, who knows?
Would you care to share those names with us, Kyle?
Yeah, so those 3 names were P.J. Fleck, head coach from Minnesota, Tony Elliott, OC, offensive coordinator from Clemson, and Sonny Dykes, the head coach at SMU. All 3 are good choices. The question is going to be, does Tennessee have some sort of ramifications coming from the NCAA due to paying these recruits? And if they do one of these 3 guys actually want to come deal with whatever consequences are handed down to come to Tennessee? I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's said the word doo-doo, and that's exactly what's going on over there in Tennessee. Is it's a bunch of doo-doo, and I love every single second of it. And we'll see who they hire, but Tennessee fans, get off your just imaginary idea that you're ever going back to the glory days, because it's not happening. Ryan Watson joins us on YouTube, and Ryan says one thing he would do as an executive order, Kyle, is to shorten the college halftimes as well. I tell you, the marching band's not going to like that, but I agree with Ryan. We got to get a little shorter halftime. It does take a long time to get. It seems like college football games, man, they just take a long time to get in now.
Look, Ryan knows this. They need that halftime time to put in all the adjustments they need to make. Ryan, you're a coach. You know this.
All right, Kyle. So Alabama wins the national championship in college football. We talked a little bit about that last week with Jeff Hurst. The Tide, one of the hottest teams in college basketball. You don't hear that very often. Undefeated in the SEC. Probably a top 10 team right now, playing just unbelievable. Are you buying Nate Oates and the Crimson Tide basketball team as a legit contender?
Look, I got a stat for you here. We don't do a whole lot of research, but I saw this, and I got a stat for you.
It's like you overachiever, you.
Alabama basketball has scored better than 80 points in 6 straight games. Now, that's something. Yeah, they're legit.
They are legit. I mean, well, I say that. They are legit as in they are going to have a good season. I think that they're going to continue their hot streak. I think they win the SEC. But I mentioned this on somebody's Twitter account. I don't even remember who it was that I commented on. I said, write this down. Alabama will lose the opening weekend. I'm not saying it's the first round, but they will not make it out of the opening weekend of the NCAA tournament. And the reason is their style of play. They so heavily rely on the three-pointer that if they just have one game that they're not shooting it well or that a team presses up on them and dares them to do something else, they're not going to win. And in the NCAA tournament, Kyle, it just takes one game. So I guarantee you write it down, it'll be on tape here on Dad's Watching Sports when we come back in March. The Alabama Crimson Tide will not make it out of the first round of the tournament, or the first weekend of the tournament, will not make the Sweet 16. I guarantee it.
Wow. That's a guarantee, and you're wrong.
We'll see. When I'm right, we're going to play this back.
And when Phillip Rivers goes in the Hall of Fame, we're going to play back you saying he's not going in either. So
yeah. Well, you know what? No, I'm not even getting to that. No, we will not, because I'm the producer of this show and I get to decide what goes in and what does not, Kyle. So
I'm the talent. If you piss me off and you lose me, then you don't have a show.
That's true. Although, hey, I was able to get 3 guests last week in a matter of about an hour and a half. So
that's true. They were better than me. So what am I talking about?
There you go. All right. We're going to skip over the Hall of Fame. We'll come back to that at a later date. Unless do you have anything you want to add in really quickly on the 2021 Major League Baseball Hall of Fame?
I went back and looked at it. Kurt Schilling's the only one that's got a shot.
Yeah, that's what I had to. All right, speaking of baseball, lost just a huge icon in Major League Baseball, the sport of baseball, over the weekend. Hank Aaron, passed away. I believe is 87 years old, and one of the giants, living legends of the game of baseball. So definitely our thoughts and prayers go out to his family, and just a huge loss for Major League Baseball. Kyle, when you look at, obviously he's most famously known for being kind of the home run king for a long period of time before Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire and everybody came along. So you look at, it was 714 for forever with Babe Ruth. Then here comes Hank Aaron, breaks that record, gets to, I think it was like
755.
755. And then Barry Bonds comes along to break that later on. So if you're looking across the course of baseball, and we've got the steroid era, it is there. We've talked about this before. Who is your home run champion?
Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron. Hammer and Hank Aaron. I mean, there's no other choice. Barry Bonds did steroids. And while I think the steroid guys deserve a spot in the Hall of Fame, they need to be, over here, away from everyone else. The steroid wing of the Hall of Fame can be over by itself. And those that did it naturally, and then the steroid guys over here. And so Barry Bonds is not the home run king, and Barry Bonds is the steroid king.
Kyle,
Hank Aaron.
So, and this is obviously absolutely no disrespect to Hank Aaron, I mean, whatsoever. But at the end of the day, Kyle, what is the record going to show? Who has the most home runs? What does the record show? If I were to Google right now, who has the most home runs in Major League Baseball history, Who's it going to bring up, Kyle?
Hank Aaron.
Is it really? No,
Yeah.
it's not. It's going to bring up Barry Bonds because he is the home run champion. He's the home run champion in terms of the single season and in career home runs. You've said it on this show multiple times. He is one of the best baseball players of all time, and he hit the most home runs in his career. And so he is the home run champion. Case closed.
Steroids.
Do we have proof?
Do you see the size of his head?
I see the size of his head, but sometimes people just become big.
No.
You can work out.
No,
all right.
No.
So let me get to this then. No matter who you think is the true champion, what's the more impressive stat? The single season home run record or the career home run record?
Career. Yeah, I mean, career records are always more impressive than single season. You can have one good season, but it take to have the longevity and the consistency is much more impressive.
All right, I missed this, but I got to go back to. So Ryan Watson says, "Roll Tide," noted, talking about my write it down. Ryan, I'm telling you, man, good for you for the Tide. I mean, they're having a great season. They blew out my Kentucky Wildcats by 20. They play again tomorrow night. They'll probably do it again, but they will not make it out the first weekend. Just had to get that in there. All right, Kyle. So let's shift gears just a little bit here. We'll go from home run champions to the champions of the WWE, and that is decided by the greatest match ever, which is known as the Royal Rumble. It's coming up next Sunday. It's going to be different, just like everything else has been, but there'll still be a Rumble. So I came up with a couple of topics here. The best Royal Rumble of all time. I'm going first, Kyle, because I think I know where you're going. With a tear in your eye that I know where you're going. But I'm not going that direction. I'm going 1998, Kyle.
Why 98?
A couple of reasons why. First off, Stone Cold Steve Austin wins the Royal Rumble in 1998, goes on to beat Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, really kind of supplanting him as the next guy. You talked about passing of the torch. This is the passing of the torch to the Attitude Era and to Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then for I believe the only time in the history of wrestling, a individual has entered the Royal Rumble not once, not twice, but 3 different times as a different persona. We started off, number 1 was Cactus Jack. Later on in the match, it became Mankind, and then Dude Love. So Mick Foley 3 times in one match.
Yeah.
That is why the 1998 Royal Rumble is so much better than the 1992 Royal
Rumble. Sorry, COVID. You knew exactly where I was going to go, and you knew that because you know that the 92 Rumble is the best. It was the first Rumble that actually had something to it. Every Rumble prior to it was a battle royal for a battle royal's sake. This Rumble, it was for the vacant WWF world heavyweight title. We had just had Hogan and Undertaker kind of flip flop the belt and some messed up matches in Survivor Series and this Tuesday in Texas after that. And so they held up the belt. Rumble, they decided the winner was going to have it. Flair wins it from number 3. It was the first time somebody had won the Rumble from inside the top 5. And then when he gets done, one of the better Ric Flair promos with a tear in my eye. And then you just look at the people in it. I mean, you had Flair, you had Hogan, you had Savage, you had Jake the Snake Roberts, you had Sid Justice, you had Shawn Michaels, you had Bret Hart, Brett wasn't in it. Check that. You had Big Boss Man,
and all those individuals only entered one time, Kyle. Not a single, twice or 3 times. When you got 3 Mick Foleys in one match, that trumps everything.
Look, I'm not going to say the 98 Rumble wasn't good. It was good, but the 92 Rumble was easily the best ever.
All right, so Royal Rumble is famous for really one thing, and that is bringing back kind of former superstars in some capacity to participate. Who do you want to see make a surprise return appearance this year in the Royal Rumble?
Well, I was thinking hard about it, and at the end of the day, there's not anybody that, from that post attitude, first decade of the 2000s, what they call ruthless aggression era, that I really want to see. Guys like Eddie Guerrero, I'd love to see again, but obviously he's dead. So I started to think, like, who's somebody that I really enjoyed that's no longer with the company, and this is probably a name you don't even know. A guy named Heath Slater. I don't know what it is about the guy. I just think he is super entertaining. I'd love to see him come back. But I'm probably the only person who would say that.
You are, and I'm afraid I also have some bad news. Because somebody that I would love to see come back is really a only superstar that I can really remember of the past decade that I actually really enjoyed watching when I watch wrestling once every 2.5 months. And that is Bad News Barrett. Oh man, that guy was awesome.
Yeah, he actually does does commentary for the NXT show now, I believe.
It'd be perfect. My man can come in. They'd think that somebody's got the thing won, and he'd come out and said, "I've got some bad news," and win the Rumble. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yep, no doubt about it. All right, let's get into some picks. We'll have an update on our picks for next week. I'll be honest, I didn't have time to tally them up this week, but we'll get to them next week in terms of who's winning. So we don't really have any football games. We've been picking college football all year long. We don't have any college football going on. We won't have an NFL game next week. So we're going SEC Big 12 Challenge in college basketball, Kyle. A couple of really good matchups here. Sharif Cooper, one of the most exciting players in college basketball, is the point guard for Auburn. He takes the Tigers into Baylor to take on number 2 Baylor. Who you got, the Tigers or the Bears?
The Bears. He's a good player, but that Baylor team's really good.
They are. I'll take Baylor as well in that one. The second game that we're going to pick from is Kansas, not your traditional Kansas team. They've lost 3 in a row. Tennessee's also looking bad after a really great start. They got humbled by Missouri yesterday. The Jayhawks going to Thompson Bowling Arena to take on a reeling Tennessee. Either of those teams get it going back in the right direction.
I think Tennessee gets the win here, but yeah, this one was tough for me, but I feel like Tennessee's been better over the course of the season, so let's go with Tennessee.
All right, just for argument's sake here, I'll go Kansas. Tennessee struggles to score the ball. They're great defensively, but they just cannot score the ball. I think Kansas will score enough. And if it was normal season and there were 20,000 Vols in attendance, I would say maybe Tennessee would knock them off, but I'll take Kansas on the road. The last game, was built up to be top 5 Kentucky team versus probably an unranked Texas, and it's the exact opposite. Texas is in the top 5. Kentucky is not anywhere close, but it is in Lexington. You have the Longhorns or the Wildcats.
Yeah, the Kentucky fans need to just figure out that they're never going to be, back in that upper echelon anymore. Like it's over, it's done. The Longhorns beat them.
Well, you're wrong about 2 things there. First off, yes, Kentucky's having a down year this year, but they will be just fine and will be back. I have no doubt about that. And I think Kentucky's going to win this game. Kentucky seems to have been really the Alabama game. They play pretty well to good competition, and they play pretty bad to bad competition. I think they play well against Texas. I think they match up pretty well with Texas. I think they'll run them off the 3-point line. And I'll take Calipari to pull an upset and knock off Texas at home. And then they'll probably lose to, probably Georgia the next night or the next game, just because that's how the season's been. So,
Homer.
Absolutely. Of course I am. All right, Kyle. Well, we are out of time, sir. Episode 50 next week. Hopefully there will be no technical difficulties. Hopefully we'll actually be able to hear what's going on with the show, and I won't come on the show to start things off and be like, oh, are we actually live here? But until then, man, continue to feel healthy, and we'll see you next week. Adios.